everybody. I am delighted to be here with you. It's been a while since I've had an opportunity to speak to you all. In fact, I won't talk long because there's food up here. Hello. We know the real important reason for me to be here is this. But I do this for a reason always, because I spend my time educating and empowering and enabling about food choices, and especially food choices that are value added. And for all of you, it is about doing what you need to do physically every day to be able to perform well, to be able to recover well and restore so you can come back and do it again the next day. What I want to do is also talk about those things that have value added for you. It's like the little extras that might be in the food that bring more to the plate, to bring more to your body, to keep you healthy, because this is about career extension as well. And one of the ways of doing that is ensuring that you are bringing the best instrument to the studio every single day, and that is your body and the health of your body. Just thinking about this, of what is that performance plate? What is the item that makes a difference overall? And I can't target one food because it isn't. It would be very easy, but it doesn't work that way. So if I'm creating that performance plate of truly what I want it to be, and kind of using this as my visual here, is if you all take a look at your hand, not thumb, hand. That is what we are really talking about in terms of the amount of protein that is on your plate every single meal. That does not mean it has to be fowl, it does not have to be fish, it does not have to be meat, but it does have to be protein on the plate. So today I really wanted to celebrate plants, and so everything that we have here is a way of doing that with plant-containing foods. But it could be because somebody has soy. It could be because somebody did a Greek yogurt. It could be because somebody opts to do eggs. And if you do eat eggs, don't just eat the egg white. It's such waste. It is. Eat the whole egg. It tastes a lot better. You get the nutritional value of what's in the yolk as well as half the protein. It's a very easy food to make. So why is that so critical? Well, not just because, yeah, I know protein's important for my body and for strength. It is. But protein is also what is used for remodeling. Every single one of you, every single day, we're not talking homes remodeling, we're talking body remodeling. So every single day, it is ligaments, it's tendons, it's joints, it's your supporting structure for your profession. You need to do that. And you do that by ensuring that your protein needs are being met daily. What really does that look like? If I gave you a number, I would probably say minimally about 0.6 grams of protein per pound body weight for each of you. That is not a tiny amount. I don't think it's an unattainable amount, but many of you may not be doing that consistently daily, and the other part of that is how we divide that. So if we're having a hand-sized amount as part of every meal, not little, and let's eat a steer, not that. So more even distribution is the way of getting to that end point every single day. So if somebody said, well, maybe I'm drinking milk, and we all have things we do choose to do or not choose to do, and some people consume dairy milk and some people choose others. And that's not a judgment, it's the way that it is. So if somebody says, I'm having a glass of milk, this is 8 grams of protein. Keep in mind, I want about 20 grams per meal. That would be my goal. So this is 8 grams of protein. If I have a glass of soy milk, depending upon the brand you pick, that will run you about 7 grams of protein. So that's pretty comparable. But if I start picking these other ones, oh, coconut milk, sounds very lovely and tropical, 1 gram of protein. Not so great. Rice milk, about the same, 1 gram of protein. Hemp milk, better smoked, but if you consume it, I will tell you this is also about 1 gram of protein. It's pretty minimal. And we just got that on videotape, but that's okay. All right, and then the other one would be almond milk, and this is something that is very, very popular right now. A lot of people are using it. The majority of the almond milks out there have about 1 gram of protein. So that's significantly different than this. And we don't always automatically say, ooh, where are those other 7 grams of protein going to come from? So it could be the unintended consequences of over the course of a week or a month is depleting your protein just by virtue of making a swap out for one item versus the other. The other thing I will tell you about this is truly what an almond is. That's not what this is. They are very different items. This is primarily water with some calcium and very little almond. If you want almond, that's almond. It really makes an enormous difference for your body to get the maximum out of what you're doing. Plus, the price point on this, it's not inexpensive to do it. So if you like it and you want to use it, that is fine, but do make sure then that you are finding another way to get your protein needs met. The other things that we look at in terms of getting protein needs met that might come from plant. This is actually an edamame hummus that you're all going to come up and try. So instead of using chickpeas, it is edamame with a little bit of green peas, so you'll know what's in there, and then also various spices. That's what this is. This is a red lentil pasta. Isn't that gorgeous? And actually, this is it. This is the red lentil pasta. It's just lentils. That's it. There's nothing else in here but lentils. And the serving size, which would be basically what would fit in this bowl, is about 25 grams of protein. It's like, whoa, that's pretty awesome. So in this, there is some green, it's some kale, spinach, Swiss chard, some tomatoes out of our garden, a little bit of chickpeas, and some olives and flavoring. That is what is in here. And then, so if I'm looking at ways to get protein needs met and saying, well, I want to get about 20 grams a meal, that would be a pretty simple thing. If I said, I'm just going to do that with chickpeas, how many chickpeas would you have to eat for the meal? Probably 2 cups. That's a hell of a lot of chickpeas to have at a meal. I mean, really now, your GI system is just in an uproar for years on end. So don't do that. We really want to try and have some different things as ways of getting needs met. The other thing in both of these items is there is some fat that's there. In this case, it's olive oil, because my last name ends in a vowel, so it's always olive oil. And this one also does have some olive as well as olive oil. If I made this with no fat at all, it would be extremely dry. If you ate a diet with no fat at all, it actually compromises your bone health. That is not an acceptable option. None of you, before a rehearsal, are going to say, ooh, let's down a gallon of oil. You're not going to do that. But on the other hand, if you go into the grocery store and you look in the aisle with the peanut butter and say, there's peanut butter and then there's PB2. I don't know what the hell that is, but that is not peanut butter. The only way it can be peanut butter is it has the fat in it and the nuts. So this is like, peanut butter masquerade is what that is. A powdered peanut butter, there's something really wrong with that. If somebody says, I'm spraying stuff on my salad dressing, it's like deodorant on your lettuce. Why would you do that? Why? It's supposed to have oil in it. It is important to do that. Even when I have dancers that say to me, I am concerned about my physique, I'm concerned about my body composition, that doesn't mean no fat. It means you still need to have some, otherwise you get hungrier that much sooner. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot out there right now is about being gluten-free. Now, if somebody, and gluten is the protein in wheat, rye, barley, oats. It's what it is. Oats are really not a culprit, but because of the plants where they're manufactured, there might be a contamination issue, and that's why they include it in that category. If somebody has celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, that's a reason not to have it. However, if we say, okay, I'm going gluten-free, well, there's a lot of products out here. So here is an example of a gluten-free pasta. It's okay. It's a little different taste-wise. And nutritionally, it's not the same. This is the difference, that when we take some of those things out of the diet, we're missing a lot of the whole grains, we're missing a lot of the benefits, we're missing a lot of the fiber, and things that are gluten-free that are made with tapioca starch or potato starch, that's not the same as eating a potato. It really shortchanges you. So if you're going to be gluten-free, this is, because it's just lentil, that works. Or we could do something like quinoa, if you like it. Some of you might have used it before. I'll give you my little culinary tip on using it. It can be bitter. If you toast it, it takes the bitterness away. So you can cook it first, toast it a little bit, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it doesn't have that strange little bitter aftertaste. It works very, very well to do that. And this one happened to have a little bit more protein in it. And I always save my best for last of like new cool things that we find out in research that are like, oh my God. And so this is it. Who knew dried plums formerly known as prunes. That's not what I wanted you to know. But we do call them that. It's the same thing. It used to be a prune, now it's a dried plum because that sounds younger. But nonetheless, one of the things about these items, the dried plums or prunes, is that there have been some fascinating research on bone health looking at these. People who are consuming dried plum and in people who have had DEXA scores that haven't been great, so indicator of osteoporosis, osteopenia, starting to reverse those scores somewhat. That's a pretty awesome thing. So what's the advantage of using these? Number one, it's sweet, and they are. Number two, they really add a nice consistency to food. So the dried plums as they are, if you say, I can't deal with it, it's just too much plum, is they have these little plum amaisons. It's the same thing, but they look like raisins. They're smaller. So it's the petite plum. That works well. Or the way you're going to have them today, these are my plumpkins. It's a pumpkin muffin, but instead of using all the sugar, I cut the sugar back and I cut the oil back and I use plum puree instead. So not only is it something that tastes great, but it's good for bones as well, because people think, well, the answer to my bone health is I'll just do calcium. Number one, this doesn't taste nearly as good. And number two, just doing calcium alone really doesn't do much for the bones. It really is the whole composite of putting everything together, nourishing a body to allow a body to perform to the maximum. So just as important as it is when you're in studio and it is releve, it is beautiful hand movements, it's this hand movement is the one I want you to have. Because I will tell you, overall, these are the things. As creating that performance plate allows you to create a performance that is great. So everybody's going to come up and try. I have edamame hummus with rice crackers. I have a red lentil pasta with vegetables in it, and I have the little plumpkins on the end. There is plenty for everybody. Please come up and enjoy, and bon appetit. Thank you very much. Come on up and eat.